Let's do a couple of fun football things. Let me start with this because I know you're tight with McVay, and I know you were at his wedding, which we got to get into. But just give me some background on this, since this is the SI Media podcast. There were so many reports that Amazon was going to give McVay like $8 billion, like a live golf deal or something like that, to do Thursday Night Football. Was that real? Did it, like, I never believed someone that young after winning a Super Bowl would leave. Give me some information. Like, was he seriously considering it? Why would he leave at such an early age? I know you know him. I don't want you to be like, oh, give me the secrets of your friend, but tell me what you know and what you can tell me.
And I was up front when it was all going on. It really came to a head around like Combine, which is like a couple of weeks after the Super Bowl, where they got done with all this stuff. And, you know, he's on a contract from a previous, career track, and it was time for the Rams to pay up. And then, multiple networks approached him and his agent and said, well, we're in this boom time for sports media. Would he ever consider doing it and leave? And he considered it for sure. And I think at the end of the day, it was like, there's still too much meat on the bone with Stafford still there and Kupp still there, and Aaron Donald, he knew was coming back and was hopeful that those retirement rumors were wrong. Like, there was still more to prove. I think Sean, in his head, it's like when the time's right, he'll 100% know. But gosh, $20 million, that's what was rumored. You better believe he listened to it, and you better believe he considered it, because as I said to him at the time, and not that I'm Mr. Career Advice, I was like, look, if you were to try this for a couple of years and do the TV, and I selfishly wanted him to stay in football because I like being able to not have him as a competitor, but to be someone that, is actually in the game. So if you do this for a couple of years and at the age 40 or 41, you want to return, you could still write your ticket to any team you want. But he said, but it won't be this team. Like, I don't want to coach the Jaguars. I don't want to coach the Browns. I want to coach the Rams, and Stafford's his guy. Like, if Stafford wasn't there, totally different story. Then again, if Stafford wasn't there, they probably don't win the Super Bowl, and these offers aren't coming in.
Yeah. You said you had offers from multiple networks. I thought it was just Amazon.
I don't know if there was actually a formal offer. I know there were conversations, at least informally, that were being put towards Sean's guys, not towards him proactively, like, hey, raising my flag, who wants to hear it? But I know that there were at least phone calls from multiple places saying, what's his interest level? I don't know which ones.
If he would have left, I mean, it would have been strictly a money thing, right? Because or is he one of these guys that's trying to say he's burnt out already a little bit?
No, not burnt out. It would be more like,
he's so young.
I have interests that go beyond just this. Like, I feel like I want to do it all. And that's what it would be. He worked for ESPN a couple Super Bowls ago with like Susie Colbert and I want to say like Steve Young and Louis Riddick. And it was like on a Sunday. I didn't watch. It was like a Sunday, a Super Bowl Sunday. And, he called me afterwards. He was like, can you critique what I did? Like, I didn't watch Sean. He's like, can you get a clip of it? I'm like, I don't know where the clip exists. And then we did our Flying Coach podcast last year. And after we would do a 2-hour interview with Kyle Shanahan or Arthur Smith, like, he would want me and Simmons to be like giving him pointers. So like, he constantly is just one of these guys that's always going and wants to be better. Right. Like, if he was to go into broadcasting, he would want to be the best broadcaster to ever live and want to emulate John Madden and be better. Like, it's not enough to just, all right, I got it. Like, Collinsworth's great. Romo does his thing. He'd want so he'd have to be all in, and I don't think he was ready to put football behind him. It would have been. I would have been blown away if he left. I mean, I get that the money got crazy, but I just think of him as so young to walk away from coaching, especially after winning a Super Bowl. But although I'm one of these people who I always think people should leave on top, but he's too young. He's so young. I don't know. And is that offer there now in 2 years? I don't know. Right. They gave that money to Kirk Herbstreit or whatever else. Well, so I don't know.
Yeah, I've mentioned this before on the pod. This was so crazy a few months ago with the broadcasters in the NFL changing networks and getting these monster contracts. And I think there's like this expectation like this is a regular thing. And it's not a regular thing now because all the top guys are locked in for a long time. Bro. The only one I think maybe is not locked in for a long time is Collinsworth. But you mentioned Herbstreit. He's going to be there for a while. Romo's there for a while. We know the Brady deal at Fox, and then Monday night is Aikman. So there's not going to be, unless, one of these networks want to go to like a 3-person booth, which I would really be against.
And studio shows don't pay what the those guys. Like it's almost apples and oranges. People are like, oh, well, you can go to a studio show. It's not the same when you're on those games. But I would. The
one thing that does come up is everyone's going to do Manning cast. So there's that avenue.
I guess I think that's pretty unique, right? Like,
would you want to be on a Manning cast?
Yes, of course. I would love to be one. You can
not on. I don't mean on like the Peyton Eli. I mean like let's say okay.
Yes, it's the ultimate. You're watching a game with your friends on your couch. I mean, Peyton and Eli are so unique that they're so good, and they were able to bring those guests. You know, whoever the producers were that booked and Tom Brady's stopping in, Stafford's Brady, Russell Wilson. It's not the same when it's Peter Schrager and Jimmy Traynor, and we're like, hey, look, we can bring in, here's the third play-by-play guy of NBC hockey. I mean, it's not the same. That said, Peyton was actually breaking down things in a way that we'd never seen before, so it was good. But yes, I would love to be on one of those. I'll say this about McVay leaving on top and all that stuff. I always tell this to players who are considering broadcasting. It is better to leave when you are relevant and fresh off a good season than you are like 2 years removed from your good season. And I've seen it 1,000 times where a guy signs another contract for $2 to $3 million more than he would have made as a broadcaster. But then those offers, like these networks, for whatever it's worth, they want you fresh off the field and they want to mold you. So coming off like a great year, like if you're a great player, like that's the time to strike.
You couldn't be more right. Perfect example of that is Jay Cutler. I mean, Jay Cutler was going to Fox as a number 2 analyst, decided, what did he go back to the Dolphins for that one season?
But he made $10 million that year. But
my point is he's never ever my point is he's never now brought up as a guy that any networks want to hire as an analyst anymore. The list is long, and I always talk to these players because they come on Good Morning Football and it's always like, what do you want to do afterwards? I want to do this. Oh, do you? Like, then we got to put the work in, but you also have to start building that idea years in advance, because if you're cut from an NFL team and you're banging around and trying to get on, and then you're like, I'll just be a broadcaster. Like the demand is not the same as it was if you're coming off a Super Bowl season or you're coming off like a great career. And it's like, all right, I want to go right into the booth. Give me a couple of current players you think would be good, either like on Good Morning Football or as an analyst. Anyone come to the top? Current players who are in the game today.
It's funny. Fitzy's doing the Amazon, and that didn't make as much news as some of these other hires. I think Fitzpatrick's going to be great in studio and funny.
I think it didn't make big news because they have 700 people. Amazon. Yeah. Like, who's not working for Amazon on the Thursday night telecast?
I think it's just isn't it Sherman, Carissa,
Tony Gonzalez,
and I think
Marshawn Lynch, Aqib Talib. Like they've hired 87 people. I don't know what. So that's probably why the Fitzpatrick thing sort of came away. Who can keep up with it? There was a Taylor Rooks, but they hired Carissa.
Is Taylor Rooks on it? I don't
know, but everyone has been hired by Amazon. It seems like.
Not me, not you.
Well, you have Fox. You have Fox to keep you busy.
I know.
Tell me about the McVay wedding.
Wait. You want to hear some current players?
Yeah.
Current
players.
Young guys or guys who should be retired?
Doesn't matter. Either or.
I always love the quarterbacks, and I'm like, all right, which quarterback is going to make an impact in this thing? Which quarterback? And like, I start going through like the starting quarterbacks. Obviously, Stafford, if he wants to do this, would be excellent. Like, is in the production meeting, like as you might think he's boring, he's not. He's funny. He's got stories. He's been the number 1 pick. He's got all the things. I think Aaron Rodgers is a fascinating study, and whether you're a fan of Rodgers or not, if he does a phone call with Pat McAfee, I'm clicking in to just hear what he has to say. I think he would be excellent. And then you get through like some of these other guys that are on these teams that have been around for a while, and like, could they ever make a transition? Like whenever Travis Kelce wants to get into broadcasting, I don't think it's going to be the Gronk, like goofy party guy. I think Kelsey's really smart and also is going to be insightful on that stuff. And I think you look at some of the players of like that level, like guys that could be Hall of Fame players that have been around the league, but maybe not necessarily are being talked about as broadcast, home runs.
Right. That's a good list right there. Yeah. Kelsey would be interesting because he's got a lot of personality.
Yeah. And he's good and smart and is probably in the Hall of Fame.
Right. Oh, he's definitely.
If Travis Kelce retires, now I had this argument with, I was at a baseball or a charity softball thing in Kansas City called the Big Slick. It was awesome. And you would have loved it. It's Paul Rudd, it's Riggle, it's Stone Street, it's all those guys. They put on this event. We do a charity softball thing, and they're all Chiefs fans. And we get into this argument. I said, and Paul Rudd specifically was up in arms about this, saying, yes, if Travis Kelce never takes another snap of football, is he a first ballot Hall of Famer?
Absolutely. It's not even a question. So? Who would say no?
I was just saying there's a lot of tight ends. I mean, Antonio Gates is not a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Well, first of all, I hope you don't take this as an insult because the NFL Hall of Fame is kind of a joke. I mean, they let everybody in.
Are you serious? I think baseball is a joke. NFL is
baseball
hard.
is a joke too, but NFL is hard. They let that class last year.
That was a rare exception where that
was a rare.
It's hard, bro.
But my point is, Travis Kelce would absolutely get in.
Right
100%.
now, never playing another snap.
He should absolutely get in. He's been the best tight end. I mean, him and Gronk have been the two best tight ends for like the last, 5, 6, 7 years?
Yeah. I mean, the fact that this was even a debate, they all were in your vote. Like, all these KC fans just could not believe I would even entertain that. Maybe he has to wait 1 year. No, all right. Yeah. What about Phillip Rivers? Is he a Hall of Famer right away, first ballot?
I would say, for me, no, but he would probably, I would guess, get in. He is what Mike and the Mad Dog used to call a compiler.
Yeah,
I think he's a compiler.
Don Sutton's a compiler. Yeah. A compiler.
Yeah. Phillip Rivers to me is a compiler. Yeah. But
Edgar Martinez, compiler.
Yeah, DH especially. Tell me about the McVay wedding.
Okay.
That seemed like now Odell Beckham crashed the wedding.
Yes.
Is it really crashing if you're Odell Beckham? Like, yeah, I mean.
Yeah. So it was supposed to happen 2 summers ago, and it was supposed to be in the south of France, which would have been elegant. And then COVID hit. And then it was postponed to 2021. And they told them with like a couple months, the hotel that it was supposed to be at, they were like, yeah, you can have it, but there's no one allowed indoors and there's no band allowed. And they were like, all right, let's postpone it 1 more year. So this was like 3 years in the making. And we got the invite. My wife and I were like, let's make a vacation out of it. We'll go to Los Angeles. We'll have fun. And it was a coaching convention because McVay invited a lot of his former colleagues, but also some of his current assistants. And it was also a players convention where a lot of these players came. So at the wedding itself, we get there, and at my table, it's myself, it's my wife, it's a funny random table. It's Cliff Kingsbury and his girlfriend, and Cliff and I have hung out before. I've never met his girlfriend, who was awesome. And then you've got Colt McCoy, who I didn't know the connection was McVay's backup quarterback for years in Washington, and the two of them connected. It's Colt McCoy and his wife. Then you've got Stafford and his wife. You've got Cooper Kupp and his wife, Aaron Donald and his wife. The list goes on. And then sure enough, Odell Beckham comes by, and not that it's contentious, but like, you never know if like these players like you, don't like you. Trust me, I've had my Odell takes since he was in New York kicking field goal nets.
Right.
He comes right up to me, brings me right in, and is like, what's up, baby? I'm like, all right, cool. What's up, Odell Beckham? Like, great. And then he keeps moving, and McVay like runs over to me. He's like, funniest thing. Only the captains were invited. Odell's not a captain. I'm like, so where's he sitting? He's like, I don't even know if he is sitting, but Odell Beckham just showed up and he's welcome. He's great. Like, let's just have a great time. And I'm like, this is hilarious.
Right.
Now, if his wife,
he
was feeling the same, I don't know.
So he only invited the captain. That's it, because that's like a big.
It has to be a line, right?
It's a big etiquette thing when you work in an office. Like either you have to invite everybody or nobody. Which
so he invited the entire coaching staff if they had, I think, 1 year or more. Like they had to have at least been there for 2 years. So all them with their wives, and then he invited a lot of the assistant coaches that he's had previously, but also a lot of his former colleagues. So Brandon Staley is the head coach of the Chargers. But he used to work for Sean. Then Jay Gruden was there. He used to be Sean's head coach. Like there's an interesting dynamic of all people, but I wasn't the only media guy. Jay Glazer was there as well. And then Al Michaels was there with his wife, which was awesome talking to Al. Stan Kroenke, the owner of the Rams, is standing in the corner, just kind of like holding court. And I'm like, gosh, he's got to be pretty happy. He's got the Stanley Cup with the Avalanche. He's got the Super Bowl, doesn't even know his coach is getting married. So McVay was awesome. The MVP of the night was not his wife, was not Sean. It was Raheem Morris, who you will love because he is a Jersey guy and a Hofstra alum. And Raheem is a defensive coordinator of the Rams. And he was on the dance floor from the second that party started till the end, encouraging everyone to get on the dance floor. And it was awesome, dude. It was.
Were you on the dance floor?
I was, bro. I was on it.
Was Al Michaels on the dance floor?
he and his wife were doing a nice elegant waltz in the corner. Yes, they were on the dance floor.
Love it.
People were dancing. You know what it was? People have not been at fun things for 3 years. So like that McVay said, he's like, the attendance was actually not expected, where it was like literally 100% attendance. And I was like, oh, it has nothing to do with you, dude. It has nothing to do with you. People just want to have a good time. No one has been to a wedding in 3 years. And this was like an awesome wedding. So it was really fun.